Traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, is thousands of years old and has changed little over the centuries. Its basic concept is that a vital force of life called qi surges through the body. Any imbalance to qi can cause disease and illness. This imbalance is most commonly thought to be caused by an alteration in the opposite and complementary forces that make up the qi. These are called yin and yang. Ancient Chinese believed that humans are microcosms of the larger surrounding universe and are interconnected with nature and subject to its forces. Balance between health and disease is a key concept. TCM treatment seeks to restore this balance through treatment specific to the individual. It is believed that to regain balance, you must achieve the balance between the internal body organs and the external elements of earth, fire, water, wood, and metal. Treatment to regain balance may involve acupuncture, moxibuncture, which is the burning of herbal leaves on or near the body, cupping, that uses warmed glass jars to create suction on certain points of the body, massage, herbal remedies, movement, and concentration exercises such as Tai Chi. My guest today will be discussing how Chinese medicine is more than acupuncture. Welcome to Talk to Me. I'm your host, Brenda Warren. I am known as the solutionist. I see things other people often miss. I help people turn their mess or their mission into a message for the masses. I also help women in transition move past their stuck points so that they can live their best life now. What is now, no opportunity wasted. That's important, y'all, because today I am not wasting the opportunity to talk to my very special guest, Ms. Cho Lin Moy. She is a licensed acupuncturist and Chinese medicine practitioner. And I'm excited because Chinese medicine is an ancient art that goes back centuries, y'all. And a lot of people don't understand that it's more than acupuncture. And today she's going to tell us all about that. But before she does, I want to tell y'all a little bit about her. She is an alternative and Chinese medicine expert with over 20 years of experience in alternative and Chinese medicine, a licensed acupuncturist and herbalist. She founded the Integrative Healing Arts in New York City, where she offers acupuncture, herbal medicine, and energy healing to treat patients. Cho loves sharing knowledge about the branches of Chinese medicine and empower people to cultivate health, wellness, and longevity. She recently completed training in psychedelic assisted therapy with California Institute of Integral Studies. Specialties include women's health, anti-aging, stress, anxiety, immunity, sleep, and fertility. Cho is a contributor for Mind Body Green and has been featured on Dr. Oz, The List TV, Good Day New York, Well and Good, WebMD. Y'all, you're gonna have to read her bio because I'm attaching to the end because she has done so much and been everywhere. I'm just blessed that she felt unction to come on this show with me on Talk to Me. I feel really honored that Cho decided to come here and spend this time with us today. She is a natural fertility expert trained in Eastern Asian medicine and helps couples conceive naturally using her fertility protocol in Chinese medicine. She is also the best-selling author of Will I Ever Get Pregnant? The Smart Woman's Guide to Get Pregnant Naturally Over 40. She's also collaborated on books. Let me tell you, my guest today is just so amazing. And Cho, I'm so glad that you chose to come here and talk to me about Chinese medicine because someone that I've taken acupuncture, should I say taken, or I've received it, and I've done different massages. I've even had cupping. I've even done Tai Chi, but I did not realize that all of that was part of Chinese medicine at the time I was taking it. So I'm glad that you're willing to come here and dispel some of the myths and tell us how this can benefit us today. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Brenda. I know we've been like back and forth and trying to get this to happen for some time. So I'm very excited to be here and to talk to your audience and, help them learn more about Chinese medicine and how it can benefit them.
You know, so many misconceptions go with this because you'll hear it used as alternative medicine. But when I was doing my research before you came on the show, I had read that this has been going on long before Western medicine, and that there are so many uses, and you take a full body approach. I mean, spiritually, mentally, to make sure we're in balance. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. So Chinese medicine is really like thousands of years old, and most of the time when you see it talked about, they like 1,000 or hundreds of years, but actually we're looking at BC. We're looking at thousands of years BC. Most of the time when I talk about texts, I use one that's about 300 BC, and the what is this, the mind body, it's really mind, body, spirit, physical energy, all of those things, because in order to have optimal health we need to have that alignment, right? So if we're feeling let's say down emotionally, use the word depressed or anxious, that it's definitely, we know from a Western perspective that there's some kind of inflammation and chemicals that are happening. So that's also physical, right?
Mhm.
And that affects our psyche, that affects our outlook on life. It affects the people we hang around with, the choices we make. So it's not just isolated. And then we call it medicine, but it's really, this is like a way of living. That there are these principles for living a very healthy life. So longevity. So you're always cultivating your wellness and your health. So every day you're doing things to connect with your body. So those are, like you'd mentioned, Tai Chi or Qigong, but also yoga is another form where you're breathing and you're doing movements and you're actually moving your energy, your lymph flow. So you're actually detoxing and getting oxygenation so that you're centered, right? And that you're resetting your nervous system. And then from there, it's easy for you to make better choices about the foods that you're going to eat. And you can also tell, like, oh, when I eat this, I don't feel so good. Or when I eat something else, I feel better. Or I need to drink some more water. I'm dehydrated, right? Oftentimes, in this culture, we ignore, like we're sitting hours and hours in front of a computer, and we ignore that we're thirsty, or until we have like a bad headache, right?
Right, right.
And so this is really, these are our principles to lead a very healthy and happy life, right? And it's practice, right? It's a practice.
What actually got you started on this particular type of medicine?
Oh, that's it's a long and winding road. Well, I actually grew up in a family of Western medicine. My father was a Western physician, and my mom, she was an RN. And so I grew up around, a lot of, antibiotics and, very scientific, talking about diseases. I even used to go and do hospital rounds with my father
Mm.
because he wanted all of us to become, MDs. And so, but it didn't really attract me. And I mean, to me, I was like, oh, I don't want to work with sick people. It was like this kind of like, it wasn't like the environment, or that model wasn't like a health model. It always seemed to me like, oh, it's like you're pretending to be a doctor. People are lying in bed and you give them medicine, and you didn't really see them getting well. And there was this power dynamic. So I went on to business, and at some point, that's very unfulfilling,
Mhm,
right? It's always like, okay, a hamster wheel,
mhm.
and you get through one thing, and then like more, and you didn't have time for yourself. Like we call it soul sucking. You
Yes.
realize that you're trading your life for something that you have no control over. And so I always was interested in health, and it there was a point where I said, oh, I want to, I'm married, I want to have a family. I don't know how it's going to work, because I'll work full time and pay somebody else. And in the end, I'm not going to, I'm not going to be happy. And so I thought, like, what do I like? And I remembered that I really enjoyed massage therapy, and I looked into it when I was younger. But at that time, when you're young, you don't have any concept of of time. Going to school for 1 year was like, I can't do that. I can't go back to school, right? And then when you get older, you're like, a year, that's it. Oh, that's easy. I could do it because time is passing anyway. And so while I was in massage school and studying Eastern foundations and shiatsu, right? It like I started to go, wait a second, what is this? There's more, there's more, there's more. And also it kind of filled in culturally. So in like the Chinese culture, there are all these things that you do, like you eat certain foods or festivals, and you never really connect it to things like eating within the season, or being mindful when there are certain times of the years and celebrations, that what that meaning is that so oftentimes we have these celebrations that are to remind people to be mindful of the season and eat certain foods and be grateful, right? And so it was after that, like, first, I guess, semester, I was okay. I knew I was going to go on. I was going to study acupuncture. I was going to study herbal medicine. It was this, I don't know, like a realization. I know my path. I know that I'm going to want to learn more. And this profession, or what I'm in, is you can never, it'll be a lifetime of learning. And then for me, as I get older, I just get better. Right? A lot of other professions, you get older, you're no longer valued. But in Chinese medicine, the more experience you have, the more valuable, right? So when I'll, have gray hair and a white beard, I'll be a lot more respected, right? Because you go like, wow, this person has seen thousands and thousands of people that you can't put into an app, right?
Right.
Right. So you've actually, touched people and helped them. And so that's that kind of information that's stored that then can carry to the next person. It helps you to be better when you're helping, when you help more people.
I thought what was interesting for me when we even picked the title for this, that Chinese medicine is more than acupuncture, because a lot of times for Westerners, when you think of that, you think of acupuncture only, but I find out that it is also the cupping, it is the massage, it is the herbal medicine treatments, it is Tai Chi, it's movement in general. And so with that in mind, what do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions about Chinese medicine for people?
Oh, misconceptions. Well, that it's a lot like, well, first of all, that it's weird. That the misconceptions are often that they think that it's something completely separate from what they may be doing, or they can't do one of the things, they can't do Western medicine at the same time. So we get into this idea that there's an either or. So someone said, well, I don't know, I'm doing PT. Should I be doing it at the same time as I do acupuncture, or taking herbs? They're like, absolutely, right? Because it's not this idea of linear. You do this, then you do this. We're looking at, this is very dynamic, and the difference is we're looking at, instead of being transaction. So Western is very transaction. I give you this pill, this happens. Doesn't always happen. Often it doesn't happen. Or X number of times a physical therapist, and then you're supposed to be healed, right? But they're not looking at the individual. And so looking at the big picture, we're looking at everything, right? So Chinese medicine is like we're really looking at all aspects of the person and their life, and it's transformational. medicine, not transactional. And so when we look at a transformation, it's not linear. You start to see little things changing until all of a sudden it's like, wow, this thing blossoms, right? You never know. Like you're looking in the earth and you see all the worms going around and what's going on, we don't know. Nothing's happening, but what's actually happening is all of this other stuff is happening. So, and then, the flowers bloom in the spring, right? And in the summer. And so, one of the misconceptions, that's one of the, that they can't use it. People can't use it. And, or it has to kind of fit in, with, like Western stuff. So for instance, uh, when someone says, "Oh, I do natural stuff when my back hurts, I go to the chiropractor."
Mhm.
I don't take medication, I go to the chiropractor. The thing is that that's like still the mentality is this kind of broken and fix mentality, whether you're taking natural supplements or you're actually taking a pharmaceutical. What we're really looking at is, are you addressing the underlying, the root cause? And so in Chinese medicine, we look at the root and the branch. So the branch is the symptoms.
Mhm.
So you want to go to the chiropractor, you want to take something to alleviate that inflammation, but then the root is you need to address all the underlying things, which means, addressing your stress, addressing sleep, the foods that cause inflammation, your environment, that whatever's around you, the people around you, like so many different aspects, right? Your food. So food medicine is also one of the principles. And in Chinese medicine, there are many things that are for the individual to do on their own. When you go to a practitioner, you need a little more help, right? You need more of the herbs, which are more specific to a pattern, the acupuncture to actually open up channels, and then the like massage is really also to help the person open up the muscles and the channels and really like help to their body move.
When I uh, had chronic back pain and inflammation, and it was suggested I take acupuncture, my first thought was, I don't want to do this woo woo stuff. But I will tell you, my experience once I started down that path was life changing because I had not slept in years. And right after and I know that these may not be typical for everyone, but the first time I had a treatment, I really didn't feel a really big difference, but I did know there was something happening because I felt different is the only way I can describe it. But the second time I took it, that I had acupuncture performed on me, and they specifically said come back on a Friday because they were concerned that I was going to sleep for a long time, and boy did I. I slept some of the most restful, restorative sleep that I ever had once I had that acupuncture treatment. And that's when I personally started looking into Chinese medicine and wanting to learn Tai Chi, how to reduce my stress. And I really enjoyed the preventive medicine type approach that I felt I was being introduced to, and the sense of holistic mind, body, soul. I got introduced to breath work. I got told about how to align the chakras, the energy in my body, things that were traditionally, as a Christian in the way I was raised in the Western world, were taboo. But I would soon learn that these were ancient practices that were not to be afraid of, but that were restorative to my body. And with that thought, what would you say is one of the most important lessons, like someone like me that's skeptical about when you hear the term alternative medicine or Chinese medicine, can do to prepare themselves to properly be able to receive so they can get the alignment like I did?
Well, I think what's really important is to make that decision to really be aware that there's something else, right? And we start to look at language. Alternative is there you're an alternative to what or from what? And in the West, we look at the pharmaceuticals and surgery as this gold standard. And those things are very important for intervention, emergencies, life saving, right?
Mhm.
Uh, but what ends up happening is that then the only time people really go and seek help is when they're in a situation where they are, they need saving, or
Mhm.
where they're in a disease process that is out of control. And so there is a place for when, you need intervention.
Mhm.
And then, intervention doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be on medication for the rest of your life, right? Because that's one of those things when we start to look at, if you have diabetes, or hypertension or obesity or all of those, there's so much that you can do on your own to get better, and that you don't really need to be on medication for the rest of your life. And I mean, I just had a patient who, she said to me, "Oh, my cholesterol was a little bit high," and I know for her, it's a stress factor for
Mhm.
her, because she eats right, she doesn't, but she's extremely stressed out, and and she has great insurance. So this is also like what happens is that when you have really great insurance, you go to the doctor and you will get what is considered the best care, which also means you're going to be prescribed pharmaceuticals, right?
Mhm.
But we have to take a look at that. That is not necessarily the best way of addressing a situation. And so I said, well, how high was your cholesterol? Which, well, it wasn't that high, but they were worried. So they're giving me this medication. And so she's having side effects from it.
Mhm.
That's because it's a beta blocker, and it also creates irritation with the liver, and it also causes things like connective tissue. And so she was experiencing tendonitis. And so when having further discussion with her, and I know her for years, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot I am on this beta blocker."
Mhm.
And I said, "Well, was it like a temporary thing, or?" And like, well, I asked, and they said, "No, I'm going to be taking this the rest of my life." And
Mm.
I was like, wow, there's no exit. So there isn't an exit strategy. And I mean, I believe that if you're in a situation where you need intervention, that it's important that you get the help, right? And then to look at the exit strategy to somehow back yourself out and do whatever you can do, whether it's like losing weight, doing diet change, learning how to get better sleep, right? Breathing, all of those things you can do on your own, and they don't cost money,
Mhm.
right? And it's really that, again, getting back to the mind body connection. When you're connected with yourself, you also have a good sense of what is right and what isn't right. And so if you're taking medication and you're kind of going against, it kind of goes against your internal, what you know of yourself.
Mhm.
People take it because they're told to, and I'm not saying don't take medication.
Absolutely.
It's also in a certain way, there's an incongruence for them, and they kind of feel like this is not right, or there's something wrong with me, or right. And it's really to take a look at what could you do to improve those conditions. And we can do so much. Human beings have the capacity to transform, to make changes, right? You know that,
Right.
right? You have to just decide, like, decide, I don't want to be the rest of my life on a beta blocker. I got to figure a way get healthier and have a long and healthy life, right? Like a health, they call it now, is the health span. So longevity, we're looking at long life and vitality. So instead of lifespan, we want to look at the health span, right? So that you're healthy.
I think it's important, and I want to put a pin right here. Just first say disclaimer: the advice offered today is not to be taken as official medical advice. Always
That's
seek
right.
your doctor and your medical practitioners to ensure that you make the best health decisions for yourself. But what we are saying is research to find out what works for your body, because what may work for someone else may not work for you. And I can say from personal experience, once I realized that our Western way of medicine, and again, this is my opinion, was simply a way to put a band-aid on something. They were treating my symptoms, but they were not trying to figure out the root cause for the inflammation, the swelling, the weight gain, or things that I had. I was on 22 different medications at the time that I came across this amazing doctor who has gone on, God rest his soul, Dr. Hogarty, who taught me about holistic medicine and introduced me to Chinese medicine and helped me begin to titrate off of all of the medications that I was on to get to a place where I could understand what was happening in my body, learn how to ground, how to align, how to de-stress, how to move, he taught me how to do functional movements that were going to help me be able to lift and pick myself up off the floor as I age so that I can age gracefully. And that's scary for a lot of people because I think a lot of people, they don't want to do the work it takes to really do something that's so simple. And I'll say this last thing before I ask you another question. It was in reference to, they said I was pre-diabetic and they were about to put me on metformin. But everything in me said, don't get on that, because they told me there, as you said, no exit strategy. You'll be taking this for the rest of your life. I didn't believe that. That's when I went to Dr. Hogarty and he said, you can do something as simple as fast. And he told me about some different herbs and things that I could do in the meantime. I went on the protocol with, in conjunction with my doctor, Dr. Jacobs. I said, this is what I discovered. Is it possible? And Dr. Jacobs looked me right in the eye and said, Brenda, it is possible, but most people won't do that. He said, you're the exception, but I will work with you and Dr. Hogarty. And he did. And I never ended up on the diabetes medicine. And I'm happy to say I'm not pre-diabetic anymore. And I'm not having any trouble with my insulin.
Amazing. You know what they call diabetes? They call it the disease where you die by the inch, right? Because there's a lot of amputation. And it's unfortunate that there's so much of this idea of, like, oh, well, they're not going to, do it anyway. It's just like discouraging. Yeah. That, and I feel sorry for a lot of these doctors that they feel discouraged or, that they can't really help if they think that their patients aren't really going to get better. Or, then you're kind of like, wow, this is like a lose-lose situation versus it being able to feel inspired with, people. I mean, the difference is, of course, when people are coming to see me, they already are at that place. And hopefully anybody who's listening and is interested, that the fact that you're listening to Brenda's podcast and her TV show is that you already are thinking differently, right? You're looking for something else. And that's the beginning, is willing to, look at something. And someone said to me, well, what do you do when people come to you and they don't believe that, acupuncture will work? And I said, you know what? If they really didn't believe that there was a possibility, even a slight possibility, they would never show up. So skeptics and doubters are like my best PR. Okay. Because when they have a transformation, when they realize how they get helped to tap into their natural healing ability and things shift for them, that is like for like a big awakening, right? Then it's like, if this is possible, anything's possible, right? And like, that's that experience of like, oh, what I thought was not possible now has been turned around.
I do not want to stop this interview until we get to talk about one of the things that I really wanted to talk to you about, because a lot of people are going to want to hear about this. And that's about the book you wrote. And your book, and I want to read the title so I get it correctly. It is, Will I Ever Get Pregnant? The Smart Woman's Guide to Get Pregnant Naturally Over 40. That is a big deal, because there are a lot of women now that are putting their careers ahead of family. And then they find themselves at a certain age, and maybe they were having trouble due to PCOS or different things. And again, Western medicine is saying, so sad, so bad. But then here comes Cho, who says, guess what, ladies? There is a possibility, not only possibility, I can show you how to do this. Could you tell us about that? Because to me, you're walking in your purpose when you help women that are struggling to conceive actually bring to life the very thing they've wanted more than anything.
Absolutely. So again, there's a lot of I would say propaganda or myth or around women's ability to conceive. And I really believe that most women can get pregnant naturally. And I also believe that fertility is not just biology and hormones, that there is an alignment, there is that spiritual alignment, that energy and vibration to be in that space. And for many women, when they're trying to get pregnant, there are a lot of health things that have not been addressed. They may have even been ignored for years. And this is part of the health system of, let's just, put women on hormonal birth control if they have acne or moodiness. And so all of those conditions or symptoms get pushed aside. And then when it comes time to want to have a family, then all of a sudden it's not happening because a lot of the other things haven't really been addressed. And it's not that they're difficult to address, it's that they need to have that shift. And we look at things like the nervous system. A lot of women are super stressed out. A lot of them don't have, and that affects their reproductive hormones. They're not sleeping. Oftentimes, they don't even know what the fertile window is. There's also the male factor that's involved, the emotional trauma around, having difficulty, like the judgment and
Right.
of your body. So there are a lot of things that need to be kind of reset. And when that happens, it's really amazing when it happens. And even women that were told like, oh, you're going to need a donor egg, or, and I was like, okay, well, maybe that's one route to go, but we're still going to do all of this work and see what happens, right? So no matter what, we really need to help to bring you into alignment and at peace with where you are, right? And not have regrets or worries, or there's like a lot of other stuff that needs to get cleared out, that is also blocked, like energetic blocks.
So,
And yeah.
so like a woman that, because as you know, you've worked with hundreds and maybe thousands of women now. I think it's thousands from what the last time I did some research here. And if a woman is anywhere in the world and finds out about what you do, how would they get in touch with you?
Well, they can go to my IG account,
Okay.
and there is in the link tree, there is a like a link for a consultation, or that they can contact me, and we could probably do a phone consult, and I will help them. I have them fill out an intake form, and then we could really like do take a look at where they are, and I can offer suggestions. The best thing that I would say is that they should read the book. It's going to help them a lot and give insight into how I work. The way that the book was written is really as if someone is in my office.
Okay.
How I actually really work with women, and I talk with them, and also I work with the husbands or the partners as well. The focus of the book is really for women because they take on the burden of the fertility, and they're the ones that are going to the doctors and checking
Right.
their numbers. And for the male part, oftentimes they're not that stressed out about what's happening. It's the women that are really like feeling so responsible for whether they can conceive or not, right?
What one piece of advice would you give for a woman that's looking at or listening to this that says, I've tried everything. What advice would you offer them for moving forward?
Well, what I would say, first of all, do not go into those chat rooms
Mhm.
because that creates a lot of doubt. And I don't know what everything is,
Mhm.
in terms of what they've tried. What I do know is, and this is one of the exercises that I have my patients do, is they need to be very clear about wanting a child, and also open to however it will come. So it's almost like you need to clear the whole channel out and just be, if that's what you want and you want to have a child, then you don't want to put anything in like, oh, but I don't want twins, or I only want a boy, or like the, like energetically, you just have to be open to receive, right? So this is this channel, and in Chinese medicine, it's known as like heavenly water, you know, being able to conceive. Like the first menses is considered, like they call it tiangui, which is like the special water that comes from the heavens and like sparks the ability to then conceive. So we really need to make that connection. You know, also the heart and the uterus have a connection, and to really just be open. And that is one way that it'll shift your energy, and things happen. I've seen them happen. So that's one thing, no matter what, we really want to do that, and not to give up. Because oftentimes when someone says they tried everything, we have to really like look at, did they give up? Like some people, they want it right away. And it's going to take at least 6 months to clear out your whole system and to regulate. And if you trying really early, you're going to you may encounter failure, or like it doesn't happen, and then you get really disappointed and say, oh, it doesn't work. So important to maybe talk to your practitioner. Really, you're going to look at many different things. Also, we do something known as a feng shui cure. So I also address, that's part of Chinese medicine too. We're going to be looking at, what other energetic fields are around that person. So I hope I answered the question.
Yes, I got it. And I would say this, what would you say is the one thing that life is teaching you, having had the experience you've had now in Chinese medicine, in reference to coming from where you were in your previous job of feeling stuck, and now you're in an environment where you're really helping people and helping women conceive, and all the things that you are doing, which are so amazing. What is that teaching you today?
Well, what it's teaching me is that in order to grow, that like helping other people, like this is what actually, gets me excited when I wake up, is really that every day I know I'm going to learn something new, and I'm going to be able to help somebody with the information. And that is, this whole breadth of knowledge in Chinese medicine, but also beyond that, to be really open to receiving that information, and stay curious. Like I'm always excited. I'm always taking a course and learning and meeting people, and that's something that is important in whatever you're doing, is that it continues to feed you, right? That's the energy of it, right? Is feeding you. That's that chi we talk about, like.
Right. Okay, I have one final question for you. How is what you do helping you live your best life now?
Well, every time I get to be one of the very first people that learns that a patient is pregnant, right? Because we're working really, it's like this, we've been working together, and I, will feel the pulses, and we're tracking what's happening. And it's really such an exciting, like I can tell someone walks in and they have that look on their face, and I'm like, it's, positive. And so I get to be excited for them too, because I know like this is huge. It's a huge gift. And if I can help somebody with that gift, I know that person, if it's just, who knows, that little child is going to grow up to, cure cancer or world peace, So every person that is helped, it ends up being like, wow, that this is giving a potential to the world, right? And so that gets me very excited, right? That this, and really it's a gift. We could say a gift from God, right? It's is like beyond our really control. It's really just creating that vessel so that you can receive. So that's what gets me. That's what gets me, because like, okay, let's do this, like, and see what happens, right?
That's pretty cool. And what is your website? Although we will put it in the description, but I like those that are listening to it to hear. Could you tell us what your website is so people can reach out to you?
Sure. So the website is integrativehealingarts.com.
Okay. I'll be sure to put that into the description. If you'll stand by, I'm going to tell everybody that's listening how they can tap in to what you do over there at your place of business, which is the Integrative Healing Arts Acupuncture PC. How do you tap in? Well, those who listen, you know the routine. The first thing you got to do is what? T for the tap in is transform your mindset. You have to believe that Chinese medicine is something that is viable for you to use in conjunction with what you're already using to make sure that you can live your best life now. And then the A, you're going to get some accountability by going to Chow Lin's facility or reaching out to her on IG or on her website and getting information on how you can make the announcement that you've decided to tap into Chinese medicine. Then we're going to P, prepare. How do you prepare? You do your research. You find out what Chinese medicine is, how it's used, and her website is chock full of information so that you can get the information you need to make informed decisions. And then you're going to imagine what your life would be like when you open yourself up and get in alignment to the possibility that you don't have to just put a Band-Aid on your symptoms, but that you can use some transformational healing to get your mind, body, and soul aligned so that you can live a happy, healthy life. And then you're going to nurture that thought and make sure that you are living your best life now. And what is now? No opportunity wasted. And that's how you'll tap in to Chow Lin Moy over there at Integrative Healing, make sure I get it right, Integrative Healing Arts Acupuncture, because Chinese medicine is more than acupuncture. Chow Lin, do you have anything else you'd like to leave with the audience before we leave today?
Well, I loved that tap in. And I would love to, for your audience, whoever is going to, go to the IG account to, not only just follow, but just let me know that you are there because of Brenda. Right. And and ask me questions, whatever wasn't covered today is an opportunity for another episode or a topic where I can help you. Right. Whatever, that's because whatever questions that you might have are probably questions that other people want to know too.
That is true. Again, Chow Lin, thank you so much for coming today and being here with me on Talk to Me. And for my audience, just remember, the choices you make today will be the reality you live tomorrow. So choose wisely. And don't forget, you can choose Chinese medicine. Be blessed, everyone.